In the next 4 problems, we're going to actually be sketching some periodic functions. And so using what we know about the repetitions, we can sort of create the future periods of a function. So on question 7, we're given 1 period, and we're asked to then create a cycle before and after the period we're shown. So the first thing I like to do is sort of go through and figure out what the period is. So in this case, it ends here at 6 and it started at 0. So that gives me a period of 6. And so I can sort of go in, and if it helps you a little, you can know, okay, if the next period is going to be then from 6 until 12. And the period before that would go from 0 to -6. And so I can sort of use that notion of repetition to sort of mark off on my grid where I need to go. The next thing I like to do is I'm going to actually put some points in place. So I know that at the beginning we started low. And yeah, there's technically would sort of be if this was truly to stay a function, one of these would have to be filled in and one of these would have to be open. We weren't given those sorts of details, but I'm just going to generally sort of sketch this in. So we know we start low at our period, and at the end we're going to end up high. And so that's going to be the same thing here. It's low, and then it's going to end up at the high point. And then I like to sort of, I can sort of mark a few more points in there because, I have this line segment right here, and that has a slope, it's traveling at a rate, where it travels up, sort of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these squares and over 2 squares. So I can do sort of the same thing, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then over 2, and I'm going to have a point there. We're then constant for 2 squares over. It goes up 2, and so all I'm doing here is sort of making little notes where I sort of noticed the points would be. And then I would just go through and quickly connect the dots. And again, this is a sketch, so it doesn't have to be perfect, but generally that would be the pattern, and it would keep going if I wanted to keep repeating afterwards. And we can do the same thing over here to get us the one that follows. And again, I like to use my sort of line tool. I'm going to connect. And you'll notice, okay, it should follow that sort of same increasing constant, increasing steep increase, pattern again and again and again. That same idea carries over into the table. In fact, the table is even a little more straightforward. Here, basically, the outputs go -1, 8, 1, -7, 12. To be periodic then, if this is 1 period worth, then it's just going to repeat again. So -1, 8, 1, -7, -12. Same idea working backwards, -1, then the problem before that was -12, -7, 1, 8, -1. And so I can sort of see my sort of periods here. I got my 3 periods. And then the x values here, if you'll notice, each time they're increasing by 3. And so I'm just going to keep that pattern going. So 15 increased by 3 would put me at 18, then 21, 24, 27, and 30. And then if I'm working backwards, instead of increasing by 3, the inputs are going to decrease by 3 and sort of work into those negative numbers until we get back to the end of our period. And